So joining me in real life, I have Chris Ebeling, our CCO, and I have Krishan, our CEO at META11. So do you guys want to say hello?
Hello. Hello. Hello all. Great to be here.
Yeah, awesome to be here and in person. Well, yeah.
In Lisbon too, right?
Yeah. So we've had an amazing week so far in Lisbon. Chris yesterday took the stage and spoke about what we're doing and reshaping the future of sports gaming, and it was super well received. So yeah, been a really exciting week. So what we want to do today is kind of deep dive into our technology, tell you guys a little bit of some of the alpha that we released on stage yesterday. I don't know if you saw our Twitter thread earlier today, but there's some really cool video snippets. Things like some of the sports testing that we've been doing. There's a little football clip. There's some really cool Unreal stuff in there as well. So yeah, let's jump into some questions. So Krishan, let's talk about AI and let's talk about the evolution and the technology behind META11. So we came in way before the hype cycle of AI, and even at Web Summit this week, it seems to be the #1 trend that everybody's talking about. But I'd love to understand how META11 came about and why AI.
Well, we thought of building something to fit fans, right? So, and allow fans to have agency over sports. So the best way to do that is creating these digital avatars, and they need to be smart, sophisticated, self-aware, self-learning. Yeah, that's where it started. We initially started with skill. How do you make these digital avatars skillful? Teach them to run, teach them to figure out how to play a shot, how to play them, timing of a shot. And then from there, we allow them to learn about the game conditions, what sort of executions they need to do. And that needs to attach their DNA as well. So depending on the player personality, their DNA, they are unique, how they think about the game and kind of skill sets they have. Yeah, so we've come a long way.
I think one of the interesting things that we were talking about yesterday when we were talking about the inception of META11 was, you know, at the time when you were having those discussions, it was very much about the hype cycle of NFTs at the time, and you wanted to move beyond just images. I wonder if you wanted to talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, when we started the whole journey, digital ownership or the ownership over a digital asset was a big thing. But it was limited for images, so we just thought, like, you know, how do we make this digital a bit more interesting and create a real asset that people can own and even make revenue out of them, make money out of them, and appreciate the value, and they can also add value so that the value of those digital asset goes up. So to do that, it needs to be a bit more than image. So that's when we thought of creating these NFTs that are smart, that can that you can control, you can add value, you can create something unique, and yeah, do things with it.
Yeah, I think if I can add to that, one thing that really appealed to me when joining the team was Krishan talking about this, but also the ability to create an emotional, engaging, like have a connection to your digital avatar. You know, like these, like Krishan mentioned, like they all have unique AI brains. They all have unique backstories. Like for the people who played the game already, you all know who Usman Khan is, for example, and he's a bit of a ripper, right? Like he's dominating the field right now. His AI brain seems superior to the others, but that's in this short game format, right? We've discussed this internally with the team, but you know, put Usman Khan in a longer game format, he might have a harder time playing like a marathon. He's more of a sprinter, if you say. Like, I think the analogy for him, you know, and having helped write his backstory in terms of the characteristics, you know, he's a very confident, dare I say, cocky digital athlete, and I kind of compare him to someone like Conor McGregor, right? Like Conor McGregor, if you're familiar with him in the UFC. He's very bolshy, he's very bravado, right? Like he's very cocky, but if you last more than 2 rounds with Conor, you have a chance of beating him, which you can see in his history of fights. So So we like to kind of create these avatars and their backstories based on real athletes as well and familiar characteristics. But then for you to one day own one of these characters, to be able to communicate with them, to have a relationship with them, and that's some of the alpha that we drop here at Web Summit, right? Like QBot is more than just your quiz master for the people who played the game. QBot is going to be much more. He's actually going to be this conversational translator between human and AI, where you can converse with your AI character. And Usman, if he's losing or winning, he's going to respond differently to you. And because of his background and his cultural heritage, he's going to speak in a different kind of slang and have a different kind of approach to you. And this is all the stuff that you and the team are building with, like advanced, large language models. They're called LLMs. Maybe you can speak to some of that.
Yeah, I mean, giving personality to these players and again, allowing people to have meaningful relationship with these avatars is quite important. So to do that, we need to, make them unique, think. So how we do that is through that, allowing people to have discussions with these guys and also, get them to train them, see what works, see what doesn't work.
Exactly, coaching styles. I like to say.
And one of the challenges with all this is actually, slowing down the growth cycle of these digital avatars, because they don't get physically fatigued or emotionally fatigued, right?
Yeah.
The cognitive skills of things, it's actually a problem that can solve, but emotional side of it is quite a complex problem. So now that's why the DNA and these players' background and all that matters, because that's what gonna the catalyst to slow down, right? Because otherwise, these guys, like if you look at someone like Usman, became a super player, which we didn't even anticipate, right?
No, because they're living, breathing on their own, right?
But more players we will have, more I guess they will figure it out what are the limitations of these players, because one of the things these players will know is other players' weaknesses and really crack those. So
and what excites me is when we get to the ownership stage, when users get to even create through cloning their own digital avatars. Like that's the goal here, is to create that one super sports star that can not just play only cricket but also traverse through different sports, right? So it's a super exciting time. And for anybody out there who, of course, have played sports, you understand that there's different ways to coach. Like I used to be a soccer coach and a basketball coach for different levels, but players respond differently to different coaching approaches, right? And so will our avatars, right? They have different characteristics and mannerisms inbuilt, which are in these deep AI models. So Usman might respond to you being harsh on him versus being kind, right? And you have to figure out that, and you have to kind of create that relationship between man and digital avatar, which is something that's never been done before. So that's super exciting.
The other thing that I think that kind of tags on to the end of this was the visual. So I guess if you're following us, you would have seen the VR version of. So imagine this, that you're competing against your athletes. So you're bowling to your athletes, and they're responding back to you. So there's this conversing in an entirely new way with your digital avatars, and that's incredibly exciting.
And take that to the next level. I mean, we're not there yet, but VR we are. I mean, we could easily strap on VR glasses. We just don't feel like the market's there. I mean, we're going to stay mobile first and accessible, but the future is going to be more virtual, as well as mixed reality glasses. Like imagine bringing in your avatar and having it in your living room with the new Apple Vision Pro, for example, right? Like the capabilities of these devices are there. They're just not consumer facing yet. But once they are consumer facing, and once everybody has one, like we have a smartphone, it's going to take some time. We'll be on the cusp of that and be ready for that kind of entertainment layer. And that's also something brand new. Now you have
so much alpha.
There's a lot of alpha, but again, this is long vision. Like we're still focused on the cricket game as today. We're focused on improving QBot to be more, responsive and in real time and be, more alive. But once QBot is in that place, then we're able to then take it to this next step. Like everything's a tiered approach and a tiered release when it comes to this kind of development.
And so on that point about training and where we are right now, I think one of the interesting things for users is to understand how we're training these AI athletes and what that training ground looks like in its current form. And when you own your own avatar, what does that training ground look like? And how does that influence your own character or your own avatar's personality? And if we could explore that, that'd be really cool.
When we've given, I mean, it's gonna, first of all, the player's DNA, right? The power they possess, the skill set, the athleticism, that matters, right? Now, and from there, the player starts learning. Now, there are two main pillars to this. One is skill, which is figuring out how to play a shot, figuring out what sort of timing you need to have on a shot, learning multiple shots.
Yes.
When to come down the track to play a shot, when to stay back. Then the game awareness, figuring out ultimately how to win this game. Now, at the moment, we've given these players basic training on this, but they will learn as they more they play. Now, when you want them, you will figure out, hey, maybe these players need to play a scoop shot. I should train him on a scoop, because we may not have that trained for these players, right?
Yeah.
So you take the training ground and say, hey, you got to learn to play the scoop, because that's what you need to beat this guy.
Yeah.
And you throw balls at him, and you'll say, hey, this is right, this is wrong, this is what you need to do. Bring that skill set or knowledge you have about the game to train you.
Yeah.
So that's how we would do it.
For me, especially, I mean, I was talking to you about this yesterday, the training ground is one of the things I'm looking forward to most. As a kid, playing, training Lara Croft and Tomb Raider was my favourite thing to do by far, so I'm super excited to get to a point where I can train my own avatar. So this may be more for Chris, but I'd love to talk about the evolution of the game world. So how does the META11 AI-powered story world evolve over time, and then how does that adapt based on players' choices and interactions?
Yeah, I mean, we're actually building an in-depth story world. For those of you who followed us from the beginning, we already have released some synopsis of where this world takes place and the technology behind it, right? I think it's super important that the power of storytelling is something that we harness and use, because through storytelling and through play is when we best learn, right? So taking that into account, we've created these amazing backstories for not just the players, but for the world where it belongs. And you as a player, as a user, will have an opportunity to, intertwine your story into this world, which is really, really exciting. Like, once you own and create an avatar, and that avatar is one of the better ones, or as people have taken down Usman Khan, we can then write stories to this, and you are going to kind of define your legacy in the history books of META11, right? Right now, we're actually writing a really, really cool story, which we're going to release in, graphic novel / comic style, because we also believe that having these comics and stories it's going to help them break down the cultural barriers of the game. Cricket is very popular, but it's very popular in certain regions of the world, namely Commonwealth countries, and we believe we can actually help make cricket more popular across the globe, right? And entertainment, gaming, and the style, you've seen the visual style of our game. I think we're going to be in a good position to do that, and that is perfect along which this growth and evolution of cricket at the moment. Like MLC, which is the Major League Cricket, launched this year in America. I believe the 2020 or the 2024 World
2028
Cup. Yeah, 2020
Olympics.
Yeah, the 2028 Olympics, but there's a World Cup. 2020 World Cup is going to be played in America as well. Cricket is booming, it's growing, and I believe that META11 is going to help make it grow, especially by using some of these story elements as well. And this. Again, story is really key to also discoverable moments. It's key to educate you on the product, why the technology works. Like you heard Krishan mention DNA. We call it actually VDNA in our story, virtual DNA. And there's a reason for that, because of the realm technology behind it and where these DNAs have been sourced from, like parallel time and warp time space. Yeah, it's very intricate, but it's awesome, and it's something that we take very much pride in doing, and we can't wait to share that in more depth with everyone.
So really nice segue into my next question. So I really want to talk about and Krishan, you mentioned some of the challenges in the game, but I'd also like to kind of bridge that between this story world. So talking about the game's physical limits, or some of the challenges that we have building the platform, like how fast these avatars learn, or how slow some of the others might learn. So I'd love you to kind of speak to some of the challenges, but also some of the opportunities within the platform, within the ecosystem.
I think the biggest challenge is the bringing that emotional aspect into these digital characters, because there's not enough research done on that to to our knowledge anyhow, or use cases. So I think giving cognitive skills has enough work we've done to figure that out, right? So I think the next challenge is going to be that, and also bringing more dynamic sort of shot selections and allow the ecosystem to, or the players to come up with their own kind of shots and versions of the shots.
Bring your style to
correct.
the game. Bring your flair.
How do we do that? That's kind of challenge, and also having the right balance. That so the underlying DNA and the governance we have kind of control these players so they don't become super players.
Yeah, exactly.
So those are the kind of things that we have to work on and the next stage to make sure there's enough right governance there, and also there's enough innovation there to make the gameplay interesting. So that's.
And I would like to add to that, like there is no physical like limits in the digital space. Like we could have cricket underwater or cricket floating in space, but of course we want to remain true to the origins of the game and to the deep culture this game hasn't respected. So for anybody who's played it, this is one-on-one cricket, which is a drastic difference from the real world cricket, but it is still honoring what the real world cricket is like, and we'll be able to build on that. So
and it needs to make sense, right? Whatever we do needs to make sense, needs to be relatable, it needs to and it needs to be understandable, right?
Yeah, we're not making a new sport here. We're honoring a sport through different means, right?
So whatever way we can make sense, we should do it.
Yes.
So that's again a nice segue to this question about users and the role that it has with them adapting and strategizing in the future. So we spoke about applying AI for the user profile. So I wondered if you wanted to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, AI is quite a huge topic, right? And it needs to make sense as well. There needs to. We apply AI, and there has to be use case for it. Now, where industry is going, if you look at where the industry is going, we got to make sure we don't try to solve the AI challenge, but we solve the utility challenge, right? That's quite a key aspect to our success now. You can already see in Zeely challenges and all, people using generative techniques to create jerseys and all. So we don't necessarily need to replicate that in our ecosystem. What we should be mindful is make sure the utility is right and bridge the other applications correctly. So, we are moving with the industry, so we're not trying to replicate what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, I think there's also a point there about education, right? So why make something unnecessarily complicated another thing to learn? So we want this particular platform to be accessible and inclusive.
Intuitive.
Exactly.
Intuitive as well. And like to your point, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Like it's all there already. But we do want buy-in from our users. We want to hear the feedback. We want to understand what they want and get permission to iterate. And if enough people are calling for something, we'll listen to it, right?
Now we're in the same room, but Chris can't actually see my questions that I've lined up, and it's literally a segue again into the next point. So I wondered if you guys want to talk about how we're implementing feedback and how we're prioritizing and how it really speaks to what we're building.
Well, yeah, I can keep going then. Feedback is everything. Without our community, without our players, there is no product, right? There will be no ecosystem. So it's important that we build a game that's enjoyable and fun, fast, fun, inclusive. We have our goals, we have our roadmap. However, we also reserve the right to be agile within that roadmap and listening to data, like taking back and iterating correctly. And even from these early tests that we've had, from our 24-hour launch to our 2-hour Final Four, Super Fours, we had a lot of feedback, which is really great, and we're busy, implementing a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
So feedback is key, and it's key for any development out there, so.
And I would just add and bolt on to that the call to action. So if you haven't left us your feedback already, you can find those forms in our Discord and on our profiles. So please do send in any feedback, any ideas, any thoughts that you have about META11. We really would love to hear from you. Your opinions really are important to us.
Absolutely.
I've got an exciting segue here to talk about Qbot. Now, you spoke a little bit about Qbot at the top of the call.
Yes.
But this, and I think everyone in the call who has played META11 will love to hear what Krishan and Chris are about to say. So can you talk to us a little bit about some of the new interactions with Qbot that we can expect in the future?
Yeah, first of all, we saw some shortcomings on the Qbot in terms of responses time, so we're improving that so that I mean, these are massive challenges, right? When hundreds of thousands of users answer questions, calculate those answers real time, and presenting on a leaderboard. So we'll be improving that in the first next version, and also we bringing public chat where people can chat,
engage
while game going on.
What is sports without talking shit to your friend about it? Right? Like, I mean, it's true. Like, what's sports without shouting at the opponent?
So we're bringing that. And there are a couple of other features we are working on. Hopefully, we can.
We can alpha. I mean, I love the high level stuff, the vision stuff, but you know.
It's funny, so if you join me on the weekly calls on a Friday in Discord, you'll know that I'm like, I can't say anything. I've been sitting on this information for a really long time, and I'm so glad that we can share it at this high level.
Yeah, no, I mean, the team's building hard, and again, I mentioned it already on this call, but we can just repeat that. Like being able to have a conversation with your AI avatar, that's something that we're really keen on doing. And
so we want to get the early version out.
Yes.
And
first things
build
first.
on it. And then see what it means to the users too, right? That's quite exciting.
Yeah, but chat, private chat, public chat, being able to talk to each other while you're watching a game and getting questions right or wrong, challenging each other. Yeah. I mean, that's what sports and entertainment is about. It's about competition. So being able to kind of have these conversations and call each other out is going to be a lot of fun, and we think that's going to add a really important element to the game.
And also on a beyond the users as well, talking to each other about how the avatars are playing, right?
So, noticing it.
Exactly. And if you can strategize better with your mates in the chat, so it's something that we do in tests as a team. So, and it's one of my favorite parts is just basically rooting on Virat. He's my fave. So I'll segue as well, like if we're talking about what's happening in the future, I'd love to talk about integrations with other platforms. So speaking about, currently we're a web browser, but I'd love to talk about the app and so on.
Yeah, I think next step is to make sure we release our mobile app so that people can have, I guess, better experience, bit more responsive. And so that's our next big release. And then from there we will start releasing the ownership side of the project.
Yeah, we need to get it on mobile. I mean, everybody's using mobile.
Yes.
Mobile is friendly, but having an app will help us with a lot of.
But I think getting it on the browser right is quite important for inclusivity. So I think once we get that right, it's a lot easier to deploy on a mobile app, and then from there to build on.
Yes.
Yeah, and just pointing back to our feedback conversation, we listen to the feedback and we understand that our users are in an overwhelming majority using mobile to play the game. So we are addressing the resolution and streaming speeds as well. So definitely listening to that feedback 100%, and it's a stepping stone to get us to the app. We're 4 minutes out, and I've got some announcements to make. So I'm gonna close the questions that I've got prepared from you guys. But if you want to drop some questions into the chat, please do drop us a comment in here, and we'll be happy to answer them. So I'm gonna go and do our Zeely sprint and let you guys know our winners. So let me just pull up our winners. We have 5 winners. So we've taken the top 5 from the leaderboard, and we also have a bonus because we have such an amazing creator in our community who has been producing some amazing artwork. And Pablo, you are the winner of our bonus prize. So woo! we loved your content from the beginning. You took on all of our advice and just you progressed leaps and bounds, and it was just wonderful to see. So
yeah, thanks, Pablo. Hey, I love that that drawing. I'd love to know the backstory of that character actually, because maybe
yes.
it will inspire us to create something.
Ooh, and also the other thing is Chris mentioned about the comic. It really fits into the aesthetic that we've been exploring. So it was wonderful. So our top 5, Ibrahim, number 1, yeah. Cricket 101 came in 2nd. Pablo, you came in 3rd. Mohammed 4th, and Malia in 5th. So those are our top prizes. I'm going to have a pull of our randoms for our questions giveaway. So let's see who's in the call. And I'm going to pull that up. Give me 1 sec, guys. I'm going to do a random choice live on air. Let's see.
Cue elevator music.
Yeah. Oh, wait, you can actually do that?
Can you?
Yeah, look. Oh.
Oh,
No, maybe you can't.
Don't do it.
No, I won't do it. Let's do.
All right.
Okay, let's give it to Rian. I'm going to send you out a DM, and we will send you out some rewards, guys. So congratulations to everybody for all of our giveaways. I will keep everybody posted for our next Zeely sprint. You will notice if you go into Zeely that the board is currently closed. That's because we're redrawing, and we will have that ready for the grand final, which will be coming. I'll release some information about that soon. Yeah, it's been a great chat, and we really appreciate you guys coming and joining us. I will distribute rewards as quickly as possible, but I've got to first reach out to you all. So thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you. And please, please send us any questions. Link up with us. We're very responsive as founders and creators. We know this is still very early days, but you know, even being early, it's been great. I mean, the 2 test runs we've had have been absolutely awesome. Can't wait for the grand final. More on that soon. And then we'll hopefully also release a little roadmap soon about what's coming next year.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Also, I love that there are 2 Takundas in the room.
Yeah, he's my favorite. Well, Mason Smith was my favorite, but he doesn't know how to hit a ball. So anyway, thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, guys. We'll speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.